Hey, hello everybody, this is Spider-Man Woman 7 back here with another review for Resident Evil Retribution. This movie stars Mila Jovovich, Michelle Rodriguez, Kevin Durant, Sina Gilroy, Sean Roberts, Arena, Engineer, Colin Salmon, Joanne Erb, and Boris Kajo. Sorry if I mispronounced that, and Lil Bing Bing. So the thing about this movie that really always kind of doesn't really make too much sense to me is why is Alice all of a sudden in the water and it's going backwards? Because isn't it, to me it's kind of dumb, and I think that they should have played it out like instead of shooting it backwards. They should have just let it play out, and then she jumps in the water though. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's kind of dumb, but I've always liked that Alice has the quarters that she puts in the shotgun and she shoots it through the Osprey gunner window. And then after that, then there's this simulation or whatever that the Umbrella Hive place makes it happen, and she's sitting there and she wakes up and she has this daughter that, well, she can only talk to her sign language. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then all of a sudden zombies start attacking, and she runs into the laundry room and pushes the shelf over to and it falls on the door to block it so that the zombies can't get in. But eventually they're just about to get in. She takes a broom and pokes the attic, and then she puts the kid up in there, and then she jumps up in there in the attic, and obviously there are more zombies. So then they all travel upstairs, and then they hide, and it was kind of funny. And then there's this the zombie, and I mean it's basically like the Resident Evil 5 Majade or whatever the fuck they call it in Resident Evil 5, where it has the four mouth thing, and it chases her, and she shoves it down a stairwell, and it falls in the rail and gets impaled, and then all of a sudden she gets eaten by a zombie. And then in the next scene, Alice wakes up and she's in this torture chamber type thing, and with barely anything on, but almost like a robe, or something maybe a doctor would wear, or a patient. I'm not sure what it's completely called, but then she looks up and sees that Jill's there, and it makes this annoying ass fucking noise, or it's a screeching sound, and that happens. And then basically the place gets hacked, and then she puts on these this sort of armor type stuff, and then the security system gets reactivated, and then there's this laser hallway thing, sort of like in Resident Evil 4, but it's chasing after, and she has to run forward and go out the door to a simulation in Japan. And then, I mean, there's this part where it kind of repeats Resident Evil Afterlife, sorta, but I mean, maybe they could have lived without it, or done it a different way. But anyways, basically this one chick, or that's already infected, walks past Alice and bites this one guy, and then all of a sudden everybody starts turning into a zombie, and running after Alice, and this gigantic door opens up with another long hallway, and she has a pistol, and she starts beating the shit out of zombies with a chain and a lock, and she does that, and then runs in there into this one room where the main security place is, and then like these like the desks like pop out of the floor, and then like the guns come up. I think they're like vectors, if I'm not mistaken. And she grabs them, and then all of a sudden, Ada Wong shows up, and I mean maybe they could have found somebody else that looked a little bit more like Ada Wong from like Resident Evil 4, but they did a pretty good job with like the outfit. And it turns out that Ada Wong was sent down there by Albert Wesker, and they hacked the mainframe to turn the security system off, and they gotta move through these separate environments. And there's like a Russian and the New York uh, environments. After they were already, she was already in the Japanese one, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And then Wesker sends a strike team with Luther West and Leon S. Kennedy and Barry Burton and a couple other guys. And I think they come in on a Scadozer. One of those things they use in the wintertime, sort of like a tank. And they show up and they got to plant explosives on top. And they got to go down an elevator to get down there. And then they get to the bottom of the elevator, and they have like this sort of like hockey puck looking thing that shoots a 360-degree thing, and it shoots bullets out of it and kills a bunch of Umbrella people though. And I always thought that part was pretty cool. And then they end up going to the Russian environment. And they're like Los Plagas Russians and shit, so they gotta like run into the store, and they're like getting like shot to shit by all of them. And then they start shooting them. And then it goes back to Ada Wong and Alice, and they're in the New York City environment, and they basically have like these BOWs with the gigantic like axe hammer sort of thing that was from Resident Evil 5, and there's two of them. And I always thought those guys were pretty tough. And I mean, I remember when I first played Resident Evil 5 and just like kept getting squashed by the hammer and just chopped up by the axe. And anyways, that happened, and they start attacking and like shooting them. And I mean, you might as well just say Alice has like an endless supply of bullets, because like she has like dual-wield vectors, and she's just fucking unloading. And there's like bottomless clip just going like shooting, and like lead the shells are just flying right out. And then Ada Wong jumps in a bus, and then the bus starts getting like chopped up, and then the one guy throws the gigantic axe into the propane truck, and then it like leaks fuel. And she like kind of does this like Matrix thing where she like leans back and like dodges it. And I can't remember if this movie was like in 3D, but I know Afterlife was, but this one might have been, but I'm not completely sure, so don't quote me on that one. And then basically Ada Wong gets out, and then both Alice and Ada Wong are sitting there, and then both of the guys with big axes like hit the taxi, and then Ada Wong and Alice like shoot it, and it blows up and kills them. But anyways, then it flashes back to Leon and Barry and Luther West when they're in the Russian environment, and then this one guy has a chainsaw, and he like cuts this one guy up, and then Leon is like he's about to like go knock the chainsaw guy out with the butt of the gun, and then Luther shoots the chainsaw guy right in the head. And then Alice goes in the suburban area of the testing facility, and then she finds like the deaf girl, and well, it doesn't really make too much sense to me. Is like, how does Alice like all of a sudden know like sign language, which really kind of bothers me. And then after that, Alice and Ada Wong walk out the front door, and then everybody from the original Resident Evil, mostly everybody there, but Michelle Rodriguez, and then the other guy, and then another guy, and Jill Valentine's there also, and they're just gonna sit there, and they all of a sudden like open up and just start shooting like the house to Kingdom Come, and then like they sit there and like get behind the wall, and like bullets keep flying by, and then all of a sudden like they Michelle Rodriguez shoots a like this like RPG rocket that like bursts into like more rockets, and then Ada Wong just takes a gun and shoots the floor, and then goes under and falls there, and gives Alice her harpoon gun, and then like the glasses that she has that tells them where to go in the testing facility. But then we're getting back to the Russian environment. Anyways, they end up throwing a chair through the window, and then all of a sudden they look up, and there's this one gigantic motherfucking liquor, and they start shooting it, and then all of a sudden Alice pulls up in a Cadillac, if I'm not mistaken, with like these spinning rims or whatever, and then knocks the liquor through a store window, and then everybody jumps in the Cadillac, and they start going along, and then Russian zombies, that's what I'll call them, if that makes sense. Works for me anyways. But anyways, then they have motorcycles and like Jeeps and shit, and one of them has like an RPG, and like it shoots and then like blows a car up. And then they make like a joke, and then all of a sudden like one of the zombies is like on fire, and he has like an RPG, and then he fires it again, and they avoid it, and it blows something else up. And they all of a sudden turn around, and then they start shooting some of the zombies, because some of them have like AK-47s that are shooting at them. And then the gigantic liquor comes back, and then they shoot at it, and then there's like this jump, and a car all of a sudden goes into the subway, but like it goes down the walkway, and like glides along going down there, and like smashes through these like light posts, and makes it all the way down into where the train is. And then they go down there in the subway, and Alice has the one girl that's deaf, and she sees Michelle Rodriguez that was in the suburban area. But then the little kid makes a joke saying how mean her sister was. And I remember being in the theater, and that was always pretty funny. And then the glasses that Alice got from Ada Wong lead her the way, and they got to go down the train tracks to get to the submarine layer. And they get there, and then after they get to the subway pens, then they get to the elevator, and the liquor comes back and knocks Barry, like throws him across the room, and then Michelle Rodriguez gets like hit, and then like she snaps her neck right on the wall, so she died, which kind of really sucked, but oh well. And then the little girl gets like taken by the liquor, and the umbrella people that were in the suburban area show up and like start shooting, and then Alice goes after the liquor to get the girl, and then After that, they keep like shooting. Like Leon like shoots and then goes behind the wall. And Barry's shooting and Luther West, he's shooting too. And then I think like Barry got hit like right on the whole side. Like it looks like something really like fucked up hit him or whatever. But he got hit and he's like smoking a cigar and he tells him to get to the elevator. And when it goes off, they got to be in the elevator. Leon does. Anyways, and they keep shooting, and then Barry runs out of ammo, and he has his 44 Magnum or like some other kind of variant of a 44 Magnum, but the one in the game. Anyways, and they ask him to like come out behind the wall, and he gets shot, and somehow like he throws the gun up in the air, and like he falls on the ground, and then like he's like lying on the ground, and the gun is somehow still in the air, and then he grabs it and shoots somebody, and then he finally dies. And then the charge that they planted earlier went off, and then the area gets flooded full of water, and then the elevator starts going up, and Alice goes up there and she shot the liquor, and ends up getting the kid, the girl. Anyways, and she ends up finding some grenades, and like they go in this one area that has like mass producing like different like people, so that they have enough subjects to be in like the suburban area or like the test area, and the liquor's still alive. And Alice ends up throwing the grenade on the ground, or like the pack of grenades, and then she uses the harpoon gun and flies up in the air, and the liquor gets like blown to bits or dies, or yeah, like is dead. So put it to you that way. And then after that, the elevator rides up, and then they get Alice, and Leon's there, and Luther West are there, and they get up there, and then they get back in the Scudozer, and they're driving along, and all of a sudden a submarine submerges from the ground. And then they get out of the Scudozer, and then they find that Jill Valentine and Michelle Rodriguez's character end up having Ada Wong hostage. And then they have this like fight, but just before that, they have the Michelle Rodriguez ends up putting the Las Plagas thing from Resident Evil 4. Like she injects it right into her neck, and like it goes into her, and like blood is like sitting there, so it knows that it got injected. And basically, Michelle Rodriguez can like absorb bullets, and somehow like the bullet like travels down where she got shot and like goes out of her fingertips. So I thought that was pretty cool, even though that had like nothing to do with the game. I've never seen that happen before, so I don't really get that. And then Alice has to end up fighting Jill, and Leon and Luther are sitting there like beating the shit out of Michelle Rodriguez. And then they have like this like Mortal Kombat X-ray sort of thing going on. And it really doesn't make too much sense how like you see when they get hit, like it shows like the X-ray of like a bone like cracks, but they're okay. Like and they can continue to fight, and then like Alice gets like punched like in the lungs, and then Alice has these like two things where it's like rock climbing thing, and then Jill has this like pole that like has like spikes on the end of it, and it extends out, and they're sitting there fighting. And then while Alice is fighting Jill, like she gets like thrown, and then Jill picks up Alice, and turns out that Jill like turns on the Scudozer, and she's like about to get like sucked in by the track, like that's behind her. But then Alice reaches forward and grabs the spider, and she ends up throwing the spider, but like it's still doing something. So then Alice picks up the vector and like shoots a bullet and shoots one of the legs off. And then what happens after that is the spider thing like keeps moving forward, and then Alice just keeps shooting, and then she destroys it. And then Michelle Rodriguez starts like beating up Alice, and then Alice is on the ground and she wipes the ice away and sees that there's like a zombie under the water, and then Alice shoots the ground, and then Michelle Rodriguez gets like basically, you might as well just say she gets eaten alive underwater, but you don't really see that, and she gets dragged underwater anyway, so she's probably dead. And then a chopper ends up coming and picking up everybody, and then Leon thinks he's gonna get some from Ada Wong, and he gets rejected. But anyways, when they go all the way to Washington D.C. to the White House, and Albert Wesker is there, and what do you know happens? All of a sudden, Wesker goes up and injects Alice with the T virus, and then she gains all of her powers back. Or what Wesker gives all of her powers back, and then Wesker tells Alice that she's needed to stop the undead, and they obviously have another sequel, and they go out on the balcony, and all of a sudden they're like a shitload of, I don't know what the monster's called from like Resident Evil 5, but it's like the flying thing. I'm not sure what that is, but hopefully it doesn't really piss anybody off. But I'm unfortunately going to have to say that I'm going to have to give the movie like a 3 out of 10. And I think the movie could have been a lot better. And like, I think some of the people like Leon were underutilized, and they could have been utilized a little bit better, and so could have Ada Wong been used better, and that's just my opinion. So as always, have a good night. So see ya.